Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another episode of our Thrones of Britannia Let's Play. So, before we dive into this episode, I wanted to mention a few things, and the first and probably the most important of which is that this might be the last episode of this playthrough. It doesn't have to be. If you guys would like me to continue, make your opinions known in the comments because I'm happy to keep playing. It's just that this series is far from my most popular and there's other things I'd like to look at. So if people are kind of lukewarm on this, then I'd obviously like to just move on to something else that people will be more excited about. One of those things might be a campaign for the new Ancient Empires mod that just released for Total War Attila, which basically takes Total War Attila to around the same time as Total War Rome 2. It's set a little bit later than that, around 200 BC versus I think like 274 is where Rome 2 starts. So it's, during Hannibal versus the Romans and all that. But it's a pretty interesting period, and it's a very interesting looking mod. They've done a lot to be historically accurate, and I think even more so than Total War Rome 2 was. But it looks like it could be a lot of fun. So that's something I'd like to look at. And there's also a couple of new, a new warband playthrough I'd like to add soon as well. So again, if you guys are done with this series, let me know, or if you are still interested, let me know, and I'll make a decision based on that. The other thing is, since this might be the last episode, and we started this playthrough with first impressions, I'd like to give you sort of my final impressions. Now that I've played about 25 or so hours of the game through this campaign and then 2 others I've done on my own time. And my personal opinion of this game is that it's not bad by any means, but it's certainly nowhere near my favorite Total War game. I don't know how much of that is just the fact that this is the first Saga game, and my expectations for these haven't really been tempered yet, because I enjoy the huge scope of like a Total War Attila, a Total War Empire, or Empire Total War, Rome 2. I like the world map that's actually a world map and not just, a pair of small islands. But I'm trying not to hold that against the game because that's the intent. That's what they set out to do. So I would prefer a larger scope, but I'm aware that that is not the case here. That's not what it was supposed to be, so not going to hold that against the game. However, I think their choice really limited the diversity they could have, because during this period in this particular area, everybody was using such similar equipment and combat styles that they really didn't leave themselves any room to sort of create diverse gameplay. Every faction plays very similar in this, just because you have sword infantry, spear infantry, and light cavalry, and that's pretty much how every faction plays out. But again, that's sort of reflective of the period. It's not fair to knock the game because that is how it should be, and they've done a fair job of differentiating the factions where they could. I mean, obviously you can only stretch it so far, but they have, given each faction sort of a unique flavor just to make them a little bit separate. Maybe not the factions, but definitely the culture types, where the Vikings play a little bit differently than the Gales, play a little bit differently than the Saxons. But it's very manufactured. Some of the mechanics don't make sense to be limited to one particular culture. It's something that every culture should be able to do, but they were trying to make them different, so they artificially lock things off, and that's something I don't like. I hate artificial boundaries in games. So I have to kind of dock points there. And there's certain design choices that just don't mesh well with me. One of them is, of course, the removal of the minor garrison, the minor settlement garrisons. That on its own isn't that big of an issue to me. However, in conjunction with the changes they've made to recruitment, where you can now spawn or just recruit a single unit army in the same turn that you requested it, and starts, you can't move them right away, but you can have them ready to go take settlements in the next turn. It turns the game into just sort of like a constant back and forth of these tiny little armies stealing minor settlements from each other, and I don't find that enjoyable. I don't find that fun. If you go back and watch the beginning of this playthrough, if you haven't already, you'll notice that it takes me quite a while to find our first battle because, for the most part, the AI has no intent, no desire to meet you in battle. They would rather just harass the hell out of you with these small armies, and that's not fun gameplay. It is an effective tactic, sure, but it's not. It's not Total War. That's not why I'm playing the game. I have no desire to chase around, one unit general armies on a world map. I want to fight actual battles, and that's kind of difficult to do in this particular game. Now, there are mods that fix this, so there is that, and of course the game does have workshop support now, so it's easier to deal with, but I've got to say a lot of the design choices just don't mesh well together, and so I don't remember if I gave this game a numerical score in the first episode, but I would say it's around probably a 7 out of 10. If we're scoring this on a Total War scale, I would say probably a 5. It's probably closer to the bottom of the list than the top, but it's still, for the most part, an enjoyable game. I, again, have enjoyed my time with it, but if I sat down to play on my own time, I'm probably going to be favoring Attila over this. Anyways, let's get to some actual gameplay before I talk your ears off for an hour. So, it looks like the king has had himself a son. That's fantastic. That means we have another potential heir. I believe we already had one, though. Also, before I ended the turn, I went ahead and I threw together a small little army here, and that appears to have been enough to deter Dyflin from attacking us there. So that ended up working out quite well. They've just kind of run into the coast here. I don't know what their intent is. I thought they would sail directly to Linz because they were in roughly this position, so that is a port. They could have hit the port and taken that settlement pretty easily. I don't know why they didn't. But that does buy me time, so that is very helpful. Now then, we have a lot of upgrades that we need to take care of. We did just claim a lot of territory for ourselves, and so this particular area needs to be upgraded. This garrison's got to go. We're not too keen on spending that much money and that much food for an additional garrison on top of what's already here. We don't need that, really. Although the penalty to enemy campaign movement range is pretty useful. That's pretty nice. That would be handy. That would definitely be handy. This is going to get replaced with a church. So I think adding... Is that unique to this area? A moot hill? It lowers corruption. I don't want to spend more money on it, though. I think building another high cross here would be pretty handy. It's such an effective building because there's no downside to it. You get public order, you get money, you get fame. There's no upkeep, there's no, public order penalties, nothing like that. So let's throw one of those down. Again, that'll be a church. This might be a blacksmith or something. And somebody leveled up. Oh, our governor. Alright. Well, I think we're going to keep increasing his governance skill, because that gives us more money, and it just makes him better at his job. So why not? We still need to assign a governor to the new territory we claimed. If I recall, in the last turn, we, yeah, I was going to say we disbanded this guy's army, so he should be ready to go. So we'll put him there. Perfect. And that's that. So we've got plenty of governors now. We have upgrades possible just about everywhere. I think we're going to tear this down too. And we can't convert that yet. But we want to have mills just about everywhere. Because the mill is the best sort of grain building that you can have. There's no penalty. This one lowers or requires upkeep. The other one lowers public order. The mill does neither. It doesn't have the bonuses. It has the bonuses of the others. It just doesn't have them quite to the same level. Let's see. More public order for upkeep. Public order is doing pretty well here. I don't think that'll be necessary. Let's see. Maybe I'll start tearing these down. It is going to hurt our food quite a bit to do this, though. So I should probably do them one at a time. I'll start here because the public order here is a bit rough, and this is actually making it worse. So by demolishing those, we'll be able to put in the mill here. We actually need to repair this as well. Let's make sure we get that out of the way. What does that do for us? It gives us a garrison, larger recruitment pool, and replenishment. Okay, that's fine. I like that. Let's see. Let's have you deal with... You know what? Can we do that through diplomacy? Oh, we need to choose a new technology as well. Let's see. We can continue down the civic route. This is going to increase church income. We can also get +5 supply to all of our armies as long as they're in friendly territory. That's just straight up public order. So those are pretty handy, but let's see. Charge bonus. Better infantry units. Probably more expensive infantry units, though. I like this one, so that's just a bonus to our existing spear units. That'll be definitely handy. What does this do? Okay, it gives us Kern spearmen that replace the freemen spearmen. That could be good, it could be bad. We'll probably go for this next. Alright, so let's get rid of you. Oh, I meant to check diplomacy first. Screw it, just finish him off. I was gonna see if we could get them to surrender, but they're gone. I mean, they don't have any territory left. I was gonna see if, like, maybe we could get him to become a noble or something in our court, but no, too late. He's gone. And there goes their faction. So you need to start hustling out to here. Oh, you're gonna go that way. Alright, well, you do you. If that's faster, then who am I to judge? Is this worth upgrading? It's gonna cost me 5 food. For not a whole lot, to be honest. Not a whole lot. I could upgrade that. There's really no reason not to, other than the fact that it's so expensive. This might be better. Yeah, do that. Who leveled up? Ah, you did. I'm kind of tempted to turn him into a governor, just because I need more governors than generals, but he's such a good general that it's kind of hard not to just make him a general. I like the idea of lowering upkeep cost for units. That lets me field more armies, so I'm going to stay on that. Because that's part of the problem, is that he, as somebody who's not part of the royal family, doesn't get the same upkeep bonuses that the king and the prince do. So, is the public order here good enough for me to leave? Probably not. Current chance of rebellion is 0, but if we leave, that might change. Let's see. If you walk out of there, what happens? Come on. There it is. Alright, if you walk out of there, still at 2. So I'm just going to have you leave entirely. Well, I mean, you won't be able to get out of there this turn, but we're going to have you start marching back to sort of the main body of our kingdom here, because obviously we have attackers in the east that we need to deal with. You're just going to hold your ground, because any move that they make is going to put them closer to my larger armies, unless they go this way, and so I want you between them and, you know, here. I doubt they'll do anything other than maybe go take Linz. I mean, they might try to take here. They might try to take one of these, but honestly, it doesn't matter. We'll take it right back. So, let's go into our faction politics. We have now 2 sons. I recall them saying a different name for him. That was the one that was just born. Oh, we have... What? I thought we had... Never mind. Alright, so we have a son here. This is a daughter. I don't know why I thought that was a son, but I thought they gave a different name for him. I thought it started with an E, but apparently not. We're going to declare him our heir. Nah, let's give it a little bit. Oh wait, why would we do that? We already have you. Already have you. And you are married. Someone pointed out that this might actually be his cousin. I'm not going to sweat it. She's a good character, so we can live with it. Nothing really doing there, though. It costs. That's another thing I really don't like. While we're talking about final impressions of the game, whoops. Is I don't like what they did with... God damn it, why do I keep clicking the wrong thing? I don't like what they did with Intrigue. Intrigue is basically a non-factor at this point because it costs a small fortune to do anything. And that amount of money is what you'll probably be earning per turn until you're a massive, massive faction. For most of the factions that you'll play in this game, that is a substantial amount of money. You can see that we only earn about half of that per turn, and so it would take us effectively 2 turns of saving up to be able to do any sort of intrigue action. And it's just not worth it. Having the influence, to me, made more sense. It made having good characters more worthwhile because they earned influence faster and therefore could take more actions. In this case, influence doesn't really do a whole lot of anything. And so I don't understand why they've even kept it, because it right now it doesn't do much. It's basically one of those things that as long as it doesn't go really badly for you, it will never be an issue. So I don't understand the logic there. Honestly, I don't mind them simplifying the influence system. Like, now it's sort of like a 0 to 10 thing. Before it was points that you could accrue to infinity, essentially. I don't mind them simplifying it down to that smaller number, but you should still be spending influence points here. But rather than say, like, you know, in Attila it's like 25 to do this or 35 to do that, say maybe 1, 2, or 3. So to adopt somebody, you spend 3 influence, and then you drop down to 6, and you've got to earn your way back up to 9. Fine, that would work. How it works now, influence doesn't matter, intrigue doesn't matter. You'll never be able to afford this, and as long as you don't drop below everybody else, influence is a non-factor. So, yeah. Real miss on that one. But we were going to look at diplomacy. I clicked on it 3 times, but we never got around to it. So, let's see. You guys are getting conquered, it looks like. And maybe not. What do we have now? Declaration of Friendship. Can we make that into something more? Not without spending some money. We're not going to do that. Let's see. What is this? Military alliance. They've actually pulled me into a war in the south. This happened between turns. Not really a big deal, though. We're at war with this little faction here, but so is basically everybody around them. So I don't think we'll ever have to deal with it. Kirkin is a faction I've been trying to grow closer to, but they just don't have any interest in anything with us right now, so there's not a lot I can do about that. And then Gwynedd is another faction I've been trying to get close to, but Mercia has basically wiped them off the map, so I don't know if that's even worth the time anymore. But I'll continue to try, because if things turn around, it would be nice to be on their good side. And it's possible that they will. It's possible. It's also possible that they'll get crushed, and that'll be the end of their faction, so yeah. And that's about that. There's really nothing else going on here. You guys are still vassals, so I can't deal with you directly. And yeah, nothing doing there. So let's go ahead and advance the turn, and we'll see what Difflin decides to do. Other than that, it's kind of just wait and see. Alright, so apparently Difflin... let me click through these real quick. Right, so that's all the stuff that we knocked down. Difflin made an interesting choice here. They've gone for Carlin. I think that's how you pronounce that. But yeah, so they went north to take this, and meanwhile, the faction that they took land from took the Isle of Man out from under them, so they no longer have a home to return to. This is their home now. And I'm going to do everything I can to beat that faction to there and take it, because I wouldn't mind another port. Although it is going to be a pain in the ass to defend. This is actually pretty well in line with my territory as well, so it certainly makes sense for us to have it, although it is part of their province. But maybe we can just kind of mesh it with ours or something. Let's see, another governor leveled up. We'll continue with scribe. And let's get you marching in that general direction. Start heading toward the Linns. And if I could get you doing the same. Let's send you... Oh, there's that river there, that's right. Try to get to Kelmore. Just start moving that way. How's public order here doing? It's at -2, so there's a very small chance of rebellion, but I'm not too concerned with it. Here we're going to throw down the church. And then we're going to knock that down. And build the, what do you call it, the mill there. Can we just convert it? No, we can't. Alright. And then we were knocking down something somewhere else too. Or was that the same one? Might have been the same one. Yeah. Alright, here, what do we have? A bell tower? No. It doesn't look like we can build a church here. We could build scribes. That's an interesting thought. Oh, we can't because we already have this, right? So... research bonuses are nice. It's also more church income. That gives us an increased research rate and plus 30% church income. So these together would be fantastic because they would boost our research rate by plus 60 faction-wide. And then this would increase that 235 by 30%, which is about another 80 gold. So that would knock that up to, like, what, 315? It's pretty good. Can we fit both in the same thing, though? That's the question. I'm going to do scribes here, and then when this opens, we'll see if we can build a library there. If we can, we'll just load this place up with all the learned buildings available and just be rolling in church money. That'll be fun. Let's see. Low public order. Yeah, can't be helped. Can't be helped. Nothing we can do about it. Screw it. Just get it out of the way. We'll do it now. I'm gonna leave you there because you can't make it to Linz this turn, and that's where they're gonna attack next if they attack. So there's no point. And you guys are on your way, so as long as we can do damage control after they take Linz, it should be fine. I don't think... well, they definitely can't take that. They'd have to set up a siege. So yeah, it's Linz or nothing. And we're like, what? A turn and a half out, basically? So that'll be fine. I need to get you an army still. Our income can't really support another full stack, though. What I'll probably do is eventually work this into a full... I mean, assuming we continue beyond this episode, I'll work this into a full army and replace him with the prince. The prince, because he's part of the royal family, gets like... I think it's... he only has to pay 50% of the normal upkeep, just like the king does. So it makes sense to have him with his own army, because it's effectively cheaper to have the king and the prince leading armies. I'm trying, through leveling this guy up, to make something similar. He gets a small bonus to upkeep costs, but it requires several levels into Quartermaster to make that work. What we could do, though, is... oh, you've already marched too far. Yeah, you need to get to a settlement so that we can look at recruiting. He could probably stop here and then push off on the next turn. We'll see. But that's it for this one, so let's go ahead and advance. Alright, so as I was talking about earlier, there's really one of two ways that situation could go with Gwynedd, and it looks like it went the worst of those two ways. So they are no more. Completely wiped off the map. Let's see, so East Anglia and Northumbria have declared war on each other, and each annexes their Viking vassals. Okay, so war in the north of Britain. And we have a bit of an issue here, and honestly, there's three factions that are just being an absolute thorn in our side right now. So, Difflin is taking the Linz. Our neighbors to the north could come in and take Linz back from them, and I lose that port. Osraige might be able to slip in there and take it as well. Now, they're not going to be able to beat that 15-unit army, but there is some like chain of events where they could come in here and take an undefended Linz. So what I need to do is we need to get you to there, and we'll have you do a bit of recruiting while you're there because there's frankly no reason not to. And let's see, I can get 2 more archers. That's perfect. Make that happen. And more spears would be nice. We can't quite afford that food-wise, but I am going to do it anyways because we should be able to take or gain ourselves some food very shortly here. We're going to upgrade those guys in the meantime. And on the next turn, hopefully we can hit Linz and take it. Let's see, who's leveled up? Oh, the king is leveled up. Well, quartermaster is tempting for him too. Again, that campaign movement range is just too useful to not take. There are other, you know, good abilities here, but being able to move around the map is, you know, pretty critical to being successful as an army. And then obviously lower upkeep costs are nice too. He already gets a nice little bonus, minus 50 because he's the king. But yeah, we'll make that minus 70. Actually, I don't think it's additive like that. I think it takes one and then the other, but still pretty useful. All right, let's get you to, I mean, I think you've got that handled, but we're still going to march in that general direction. So whatever's the fastest route there, apparently that was. And so hopefully they attack here, or hopefully they don't attack here, period. Hopefully they go home or do something else. But if they do attack here, hopefully they lose and weaken Difflin for me and allow this army to come in and take Linz back and we don't lose it. What else do we have up here? So another general has leveled up. We'll just go quartermaster 2. And then here we have a governor. We're going to go scribe because his governance is a bit low. So that'll get him up to, well, actually 4 now. I don't know where he got the additional one. Forgiving, and apparently he got carpenter at some point. I don't know when that happened, but that gave him a +1. So now he's up to 4. That's good. How are things going here? That's cleared out. We want to build the mill. So as I've mentioned several times before, but I'll clarify one more time. There's essentially 3 different food buildings that you can put in your primary settlements here. There is the Granary, the grain pits tree. These give you, I believe, the most food. Yeah, they give you the most food. They also give you like replenishment, siege hall, that time and stuff, but they give you the most food of the 3. But they cost money. Then you have the tithe hall, or the grange tree, and these give you the most income, but they hurt your public order. And then you have the mill. The mill is essentially right in between. They give you medium food production, medium income, and then they give you more income through like tradable things and a little bit of supplies, but there's no penalty for these. So I like the water mill strictly for the reason that I'm not paying upkeep or public order for food. And then this can of course be upgraded so you can get more food out of it. But I like that tree. So we're going to do that. That's going to take 4 turns. This, if not resolved by then, will be resolved by this. And is that it? I think that's it for this turn. So let's go ahead and advance one more time. Again, there's not a lot to do in this game if you're not actively fighting a battle. It's another complaint I have is by simplifying this so much, politics is kind of a non-factor, and with how few and far between battles are in this game, I find myself doing like one thing and then, oh, turns over. Whereas, I mean, maybe I'm just used to the Total War Attila Western Roman Empire campaign we're playing, where I have like 50% of the map I have to manage. But yeah, it feels like there's not a lot to do in each turn in this game. Did I not tell you that there was some way Osraige was going to come in and steal this shit out from under us? And sure enough, they did it. So what happened was Difflin, in their infinite wisdom, decided to sail out and attack this faction, or this boat here, this, you know, army or whatever the hell it was. they decided to sail out and attack it. And they were actually victorious. But then they were out here, and they couldn't get back. So this faction, in response, took... I think they're using armies as navies. I think they're sending transport ships. They decided to take whatever was in this army plus what was left of this one and attack. And they lost again. So Dyflin beat them both times, and now they've got nothing. And then meanwhile, Osraige was sitting right here and just sailed on in and took my port right out from under me. So I think we're out of time. I'm going to end the episode here, but if we continue this playthrough, I'm going to be declaring war on Osraige and just wiping them off the face of the map. Now, they're our allies, so I'll probably catch all sorts of hell for this, but they have been the worst ally you could possibly ask for. And they have cost me a lot of territory. A lot of territory that we did the hard work for. They started with these three. We defeated this faction. They did not win a single battle against this faction. We won every single battle, and they took all the land. So I am out for blood at this point. If we continue, it's going to be their blood. But again, that's up to you guys. So we may not. But one of their armies is in my territory, so that'll make things interesting. We can hit it with 2... If we attack them like this turn, for example, we could hit them with 2 nearly full stacks. So we could certainly win that. But then there's the matter of, you know, going and taking their land. A lot of it's minor settlements because, again, they just claimed up all the small territories and didn't actually win any sieges or anything. So really, other than this, it's all minor settlements that we could gobble up relatively quickly. We could train a single unit army there and just start, you know, ripping through their land here. We could do the same there and take this. But again, that depends on whether or not you guys want me to continue. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I had a great time playing some Thrones of Britannia with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next episode. Potentially.